Hello everyone. Today I want to talk about something that lies beneath India's impressive economic growth story, a phenomenon called as K-shaped recovery. COVID-19 just did not slow the economy, it split it into two. Think for two people, one working comfortably from home in IT and the other daily wage worker who lost income overnight. Same economy, completely different realities. So, what is a K shaped recovery? Instead of everyone recovering together, different groups move in opposite direction. The upper segment, the wealthy, salaried professional investor, grows. The lower segment, informal workers, migrants, and vulnerable groups fall behind. For an example, companies like Infosys and TCS were hiring many people, while small workers as well as street vendors were struggling to restart the life. India's recovery clearly followed a K shaped recovery. The scale of the shock was massive. In April 2020 alone, India lost 122 million jobs, mostly in the informal sector. We saw migrant workers walking back to their villages. That was the human face on this crisis. GDP contracted by 6.6%, and India contributed to more than half of the global increase in poverty. Women were hit the hardest. Only 9% of those who lost their job returned back to work. Many domestic helpers, for instance, never got back the job they had. At the same time, some group actually benefited. Mukesh Ambani and Gautam Adani saw massive wealth increase. The stock market surged and the demat accounts more than doubled. Even young people started investing through apps like Zerodha and Grow. Luxury housing sales in the cities like Bombay and Delhi also increased. So while one India struggled, while another India prospered. Now let's see the other side. The top 1% owns over 40% of India's wealth, while the bottom 50 own just 3%. Small businesses shut down while large retail chains expanded. Youth unemployment remained high, and many graduates are forced into gig work like delivery jobs. And this did not start with COVID. Inequality in India had been rising for decades, even before pandemic. High-paying urban jobs were growing faster than the rural incomes. COVID-19 simply accelerated the exposed this gap. So while GDP recovery looks strong, human recovery tells a very different story. As you can see, from 1982 it started, while the gap started rising in 2014 and 19, and 2020 was the last nail on the coffin. Why is this so difficult to fix? First, 90% of India workforce is informal with no job security or social protection. Second, India's fiscal support during COVID-19 was relatively low compared to countries like US. Third, the indirect taxes like GST impact the poor more than the rich. These factors make inequality persistent. So there are three policy changes that I could recommend. In short term, extend social security to gig workers and the informal workers like delivery partners. Second thing that we can do, it would be a medium term remedy, that is to reduce the GST on essential and improve tax progressivity. In the long term, invest more in health, education, and rural infrastructure. These steps can help make growth more inclusive. To conclude, India's headline GDP growth is real and it is remarkable. But growth that only reaches the top of the K is neither sustainable nor justified. Because if one part of India moves ahead while the other struggles to survive, the growth story remains incomplete. The question is whether India can grow. The urgent defining question of our time is whether that the growth can be made work for everyone. Thank you.